right, video's up. All right, we're going to be going live here. Okay, here we go. Fire it up.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Good evening and welcome to Garden City Community Chat. This podcast is dedicated to promoting our community and yours, offering news you can use and much more. And now, Garden City Community Chat. Okay, well, hello, Garden City, and hello to our friends in Westland, Dearborn Heights, Inkster, Redford, Livonia, Plymouth, and Canton. Thanks for joining us tonight. You're listening to Garden City Community Chat, show number 290 for May 5th, 2016. This is Garden City's only live podcast where we share news you can use and promote our community and yours. I'm your host, Kerry, and tonight joining me is Garden City's favorite weather guy, Doppler Tom Iwinski. Tom, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing tonight?
Awesome. It's a beautiful day today.
Yes, it is. Only going to get better.
Also, former councilman, fellow Kiwanian, fellow commissioner on the Commission on Aging and longtime resident of Garden City, Mr. Mike Jones. Mike, how are you?
I'm outstanding, Kerry, but I am improving.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's a tough act to follow.
Joy and Holly are here with their 2-minute gardening tips as well. Tonight is our pleasure to have with us as our special guest, Dennis Neubacher, probably better known as Captain Dennis, who flew Chopper 7 for WXYZ. We'll be talking with Dennis shortly and see what keeps him busy these days. And then, as always, Mike's going to close out the show with some community announcements. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us for the next 60 minutes or so for kind of a throwback Thursday, let's call it. Should be a lot of fun. I also want to mention that we're going to celebrate our 6th year of being on the air here at Talk Shoe, and that takes place on our June 9th show. As of, I did get an email too. I wanted to let everybody know that as of May 2nd, IOTM acquired TalkShoe.com, and it's all in all their assets. Their plan is to rejuvenate TalkShoe and add great features for the network. So best of all, they're going to keep it free. IOTM, you may know as the freeconference.com people. Make sure to spread the word. They said TalkShoe is under new management, and it will be bigger and better than ever. Jason J. Martin is the CEO. So we're looking forward to that, working with them. Hopefully they'll make some big improvements at TalkShoe. And, you know, there was a time many moons ago when I was fed up with TalkShoe. I was ready to deep six them, but I stuck with them all these years. So I'm looking forward to working with them. And then on July 14th, we're going to celebrate our 300th show. And we look forward to that. Stay tuned for more details about that, our celebration, as we move forward. Only 10 more shows to go, and 300. Wow. Those celebrations are always a good time. And don't forget, on top of all of this, we have several community events that will be taking place throughout the year, not only here in Garden City, but our surrounding communities as well. And we'll be here to announce those for you as soon as we know when and where. So if your community has some great events coming up, this is just send us some information about it, and we'll share that with our listeners for you. So 2016 looks to be one busy year. We invite you to be a part of this conversation here tonight. Dennis will be here shortly to answer any questions you might have, and we have a couple of ways that you can do that. You can call in at 1-724-444-7444 and enter the call ID 82757 followed by the pound sign. Or you can join us in our chat room by going online to TalkShoe.com and search for call ID 82757. That takes you right to our main show page. Well, you'll click on the large join in button and a window will open. Click in sign as a guest, and that's all there is to it. Once you're in the chat room, you can type your questions and comments at the bottom of the page, and you'll find our phone number and show ID there as well. If you'd like to text your questions to us, that number is 734-788-9319. We look forward to hearing from you. Now, remember, all our shows are recorded, so you can catch us later at your convenience, which several of our listeners do by going to our main show page. And that's where you're going to find all 290 shows over there listed for you in order, going all the way back to 2010. So please check them out. The audio from tonight's show will be posted on our Facebook page at facebook.com/GCChat about 30 minutes or so after we sign off tonight, so please look for that. And if all that wasn't enough, Mike,
Yes, sir.
we are also doing a live unedited video of tonight's show, so you can put a face with the voice, and that will be available tomorrow on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/communitychatshow. Please look for that, and while you are there, why not subscribe to our channel? That way you'll be notified when we post future shows. Just click on the little red subscribe button right below the video. All right, let's get Tom in here and see about our weather for the upcoming Mother's Day weekend. Sunday's Mother's Day, so don't forget that. Then we'll visit with our guest, Dennis Neubacher. Okay, let's get a check on the weather with Doppler Tom, see what he has in store for the rest of this week and the weekend. Tom, what do you have for us? Hey, Tom, pretty nice day today.
Yeah, it definitely was a nice day. It started out pretty sunny. Then we got some milder temperatures moving in. Then we have been dealing with the last week or so. We've been dealing with 50s all last week and a little bit of rain here and there. It's been a little chilly recently, but now we're starting to get a little bit more warmer. We did see some more clouds build up as we got warmer, and it's only going to get warmer as we get into tonight. So overall, the clouds are going to begin to decrease, and we're going to be dealing with temperatures probably going down into the mid-40s overnight lows, so not too terribly cold for this time of the year, but it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side. And then as we get into tomorrow, I do see overall a good day out there. Another sunny day with temperatures probably getting into the lower 70s, so that's going to be a very nice change. And as we get into the weekend, I don't see it being one of the worst weekends, but I don't see it being overall a great weekend. It's going to kind of be a half and half weekend. Saturday, I am worried about some rain that's going to be developing during the afternoon and evening hours. And overall is going to start out dry on Saturday. And then as we get some milder air moving into our region, it's probably going to be in the lower 70s for high temperatures before this rain hits. I do believe that this rain is going to start developing, and it overall is going to turn into a rainy afternoon and evening with some heavy downpours at times. I'm not expecting any thunderstorms. I'm not expecting any severe weather, but I definitely do expect some heavier downpours as we get into Saturday afternoon and evening. And then as we get into Sunday behind this system, it is going to start clearing out, and we are going to be sunny. So on Mother's Day, it overall is going to be a great Mother's Day for the moms out there. It overall is going to be a cooler day, probably in the mid-60s, and a lot of sunshine. So it'll be another great day on tap for Mother's Day. And as we get into next week, I do see a little bit of a pattern shift again that we're going to be dealing with. Overall, I do see it being a cooler next weekend, Temperatures will probably be in the 60s for next week, upper 60s, and a little bit more on the rainier side. I don't really see a whole lot of sunshine as we get into next week. I do see a lot of clouds and on and off rain throughout much of the week next week. So if you want to buy your mom some plants, so you'll definitely get watered next week. And if you want to buy her umbrella as well, she'll definitely get use of it into next week. So those are two ideas that you can get for mom if you haven't got anything yet. And as we expand outward, I don't really see any big weather stories here in the United States. There has been severe weather across the central and southern United States, which is typical for this time of year. I don't really expect any severe weather for us in our neck of the woods, so that's some good news. The West has been overall not too crazy. They're pretty dry in California still, and the El Nino is starting to weaken in the Pacific Ocean, which is not a good sign because El Nino didn't really do much for California like we thought it would. So this weather pattern has been very tricky for California, and that drought is only going to get worse as they get into the drier months. Mm-hmm. Speaking of drier weather, the biggest weather story, in my opinion, has been the wildfires. Yeah. Not really here in Michigan, or not really here in the United States, but in Canada. The biggest story I've seen overall recently has been a pretty big fire in the territory of Alberta province, and it's been the Fort McCurry fire, and it's been a very crazy one. Actually, you've probably seen some stuff on the news about it. overall, it's been evacuating lots and lots of residents out of the city, and you've probably seen the escape videos on the news or online and such. And it's been crazy. The flames are all over them as they're trying to escape the city. And I looked into the drought monitor in Canada, especially that region, and they're under a pretty substantial drought up there. And that's a very early sign that this wildfire season is going to be pretty bad for them, because it's very early for wildfires to be getting going up there. So just wanted to briefly mention that. And it's been pretty crazy up there in Canada. And if you want to keep tuned to this local weather information, I don't really see too much going on. I'm going to wrap it up because I'm going to get into the weather for Mike Jones, and as he's going into his European extravaganza, if you will. But if you want to keep tuned to the local weather information, just go to my website, DopplerTomsWeather.com, and
awesome.
Connect to my personal weather station, which actually has a camera of a robin nest. So if you want to keep tuned to that.
Really?
I don't think the eggs have hatched yet, but there's 4 eggs. So you can go on that and check
Yeah.
that out. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah. So enlighten me. Where exactly is Mike Jones going? Is he going to Scotland? Is he going to
Go ahead, Mike.
UK? Is he going to France? Or is he going to all the above?
All the above. We'll be in Great Britain for about 13 days and France for 3 days. So we will be in Scotland, we'll be in Wales, we'll be in Ireland, we'll be in England, and we'll be in France.
And he's not coming home.
Right.
I will come
So
home
yes,
because
I was looking into the weather, and overall it's going to be very similar to our weather. It's not overall the average temperature for the entire region is in the upper 50s to lower 60s for the time of year. Okay. We are not going to be anywhere near that. We are going to be in the upper 60s, the lower 70s the entire time you're going to be there.
Wow.
So that's going to be a nice change, definitely. But
That's awesome.
Thank you, Tom.
I am going to say this: there is a but.
But
What trip would not be accustomed if you're going to be in the UK? Just fill in the blank.
Well, I assume it will get a little rain in Ireland.
Yeah, we're going to get rain. I do see some rain in the forecast
They're
from
not
time
called
to
the
time
Emerald Isle for
during
nothing.
your trip. But overall, the entire trip is going to be a very mild trip, in my opinion, with temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s. But I do see some times where it is going to be rainy at times. But it isn't going to be a complete washout when you're there, so that's the good news.
well, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
That's
Very
some good
nice.
news. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to do that, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, whenever we go on trips around here, we always check in with Doppler Tom, and he'll plot everything out for you exactly.
You're fabulous, Tom.
He might not want to call me. He might bring up those charges from the UK.
You know, I wonder if we could get Dave AC's address. Maybe you could check him out, see where he's at.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd have to message him, see what.
I think we figured out that he's about an hour and a half away from where I'm going to
Yeah, I
be.
think it is. Yeah, you'd have
Although we're
to.
going to be all over the UK.
Right,
so.
you'll be all over the place. So.
Sounds like a great trip.
Yeah,
It really does.
yeah, awesome. All right, thanks, Tom. Moving on here. Okay, let me introduce. By the way, who's on the phone right now, joining us?
Joe
Who?
Barson.
Joe Barson.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I heard you had a special guest, so I wanted to listen.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That's so
Well,
nice.
thanks for joining us.
Hi, Joe.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that. All right, let me
Dennis
introduce our guest for
Thanks.
tonight. For those that used to wake up early for work, like I did back in the day, and listen to Eric Smith on WXYZ TV, then you'll remember our guest as Captain Dennis with the traffic reports.
Oh, thank you, Kerry.
Please welcome to the show, Captain Dennis
Oh,
Neubacher.
it's a pleasure.
Hey,
I
it's-
was so much been looking forward to this.
We are honored. Is your
Oh,
mic on?
I'm honored.
I think it's on.
It is. It is on.
Forward.
Yeah, it
There
is
you
on.
go. All right, awesome.
All right, is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
You're
Did you
good.
Good. Can you believe that? I've been broadcasting for how many years and the microphone's not on? Is that scary? Joe's probably going to say, forget this, I'm out of here, you know?
Yeah, he just hung up. No, he didn't.
What am I gonna
Did you
do?
get reports to radio stations also?
I did, yeah, for a number of years.
That's what I remember.
WJR with
Yeah.
JP McCarthy.
JP
in the morning.
McCarthy,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a special treat. It really was.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about the early days, how you got started,
Well-
and we were talking a little bit before the show. So
Well, yeah, it started
Let our listeners-
even a long time ago when my mom said, would hold me back from going to Oxford Elementary School in Dearborn. I was born and raised in Dearborn.
Okay.
And didn't live too far from Oxford and Telegraph, where Oxford Elementary School is located. It's actually a little bit east of there. And she made me sit down and listen in the morning. I was born in '53, so a guy by the name of Bud Guest, Sunny Side of the Street, was on the radio at that
Yeah.
time.
I remember Bud Guest.
Yeah.
And fabulous show.
Yeah.
15 minutes, like 8:15 to 8:30 in the morning, from what I remember.
And always
about that same
positive.
time. Always positive. He had 4 or 5 characters that he had. I don't remember their names at all. But the last thing that he did was always end the show with a really positive, upbeat, quote or poem or something. But the show itself had that kind of a feeling to it. And that's why
Right.
my mom had me listen to it. She felt like that was the kind of personality that I had, and it kind of fed that.
Had a lot of
personality.
influence on you
It
then.
really had a lot of influence. And years later, she said, what made you listen to it? Because you're going to work for WJR. Sure enough,
Isn't that
I ended up
something?
working for WJR. I thought that was
Wow.
really ironic about that.
What a vision, eh?
Yeah, she really did. So, and then but I wanted to be a pilot ever since I was a kid. And
Okay.
I bothered my dad. I built model rockets and model airplanes, and had Dad take me to the airport and watch the airplanes take off and land. Then you could sit at the observation deck, and
Right.
you weren't restricted and so on. In 1959, 6 years old, my whole family, we flew to Florida on a Constellation. Now, a Lockheed Constellation, that was about the last of the Lockheed Constellations to fly in the late 50s.
Wow.
We had a little bit of a problem with it. It had to land in Cleveland, then we got it repaired and continued to flight to
geez.
Miami.
You still went into that
Yeah,
field.
and then
nice
came
memory.
back on one of the first jets Eastern Airlines had. So it was both Eastern Airlines both ways. But that really hooked me. I used to see the men and women get off those airplanes in those beautiful flight attendant, of course, stewardess outfits at that time.
Right,
The
right.
captains with their hats. And most of them were the World War II veterans. Or the
Probably
Korean
fed you
War
too,
veterans.
right?
They did. They did a lot for us. Yeah, that's true. My daughter's a flight attendant, as a matter of fact. Isn't that ironic?
Really?
She's married to a captain for an airline.
Wow.
So
Yeah, we'll get into that too.
Yeah,
Another,
I
you
will.
just had a wedding, right?
What,
yeah, we did.
what airline?
Compass Airlines, which is a Delta connection.
Okay.
And they'll both. She will stop working here soon because she's going to have our first grandchild, which is pretty
Oh,
special.
congratulations.
And thank
Wow.
you very much, Carrie. Appreciate it. This is so nice, by the way, for you guys to have me on. I'm really
No,
it's very
we're
special.
honored, truly. I mean, boy,
mine
we
too.
go way back with you. Let me
Well,
tell you.
they're really kind of you. So I just kept bothering my dad. He finally got tired of me talking to him about this as I got a little bit older. Was in high school. Took me down Ford Road to National Airport. Remember National Airport?
Oh, yeah.
Right at Lots Road and,
Yeah.
and Ford Road,
Yes.
east of 275. 275 wasn't there, and so on. $2 airplane ride. He said, I went around in a Cherokee 140, got out, and I got a big smile on my face. He said, well, did you like it? I said, well, yeah. He says, well, you want to learn to fly? And I said, yeah. He says, well, I'll tell you what, you work a couple of part-time jobs, and I'll help you out. He worked for Ford Motor Company for about 40 years, and my dad was a very special man. Harold and Irene Neubacher, I honor them. But my mom is Mother's Day
awesome.
this coming Sunday. And I said, okay. So I did. Before I graduated from high school, Dearborn High in 1971, I had a pilot's license. And then I wanted to continue with that, with my flying. But I also had to get a degree because I was competing against people who were getting out at this time in Vietnam that had the
right.
jet fighter background and so on.
Yes.
I also was right there at the edge of the lottery. So I went to Henry Ford Community College and got involved in school for a while, and then broke away from school for a while and got my got all my ratings, commercial license, my flight instructor certificate, my instrument rating, all the things that I needed to do to become a flight instructor, to build hours so I could compete with these airline potential prospects. And so
So you didn't just fly helicopters.
I didn't. I started flying airplanes. Well, when I was in there in school, I thought to myself, I think I really want to be a broadcaster instead. So I began to go that direction, went to Henry Ford, graduated from there in 1975, then went to Western.
Quite
go
the
Broncos.
extreme.
And they had a great communications program there. And I paid my way through college by being a flight instructor, so it worked to my advantage, but I just wanted to be a broadcaster because I learned and listened to so many different people and admired so many people. And
Plus a great voice.
well, and that's nice of you to say. People would say that to me. My dad had a beautiful speaking voice, and I always admired my dad. And I thought, well, if I could speak like my dad, then maybe I'd have opportunity to do that someday.
Right.
Well, at Western, I got involved in broadcasting, and at the taking the lunch count at the cafeteria, a guy walks in through the door. He's the manager of the WIDR, the radio station at Western, that was 10 watts, that went not only on campus, but just a little bit off campus as well. I spoke to him. He stopped. He said, speak to me again. And so I started talking to him. He says, I want you at the radio station tomorrow, because I explained what I was going to do.
Wow.
And the first newscast I did in 1976, that I still have a recording of it, cassette or reel to reel, the old way of doing it, is me reporting that Jimmy Carter had beaten Gerald Ford for the presidency.
Wow.
I'll never forget that as being my first time on the air, rip and read from a UPI or AP paperwork, that would come across on the teletype.
You'd hear it.
You'd yellow, that real heavy yellow paper, and that's great. Smoke in the room. Everybody smoked and drank. It was radio stations now and TV stations. You can't go in there and touch any of that.
Oh,
All this equipment is so sophisticated,
right,
and so sensitive to things like that you'd never get away with that now. But that's the way it was. This guy's sitting there smoking a cigarette on the air. I watched that at WJR, and for a while there, you could see him doing that. It was that special for me to, I know it's not to talk smoking is special, but it just had that kind of a aura,
that atmosphere,
about
right,
it.
exactly.
And so one thing led to another. Graduated from Western. I got a teaching degree while I was there. I taught school for a short period of time as a speech and drama teacher at Carson City Crystal High School, up about halfway in between Greenville and St. John's on M57. Somebody was on a pregnancy leave, and she needed somebody to replace her for 6 months. They called me, and I said I'd be happy to do that. I loved being a teacher. That was one of my favorite things, just like being a flight instructor. And then I came back, started getting involved in radio, and I got to Flint. That was my first radio station, because my brother, I'd gone to all the stations in Detroit. They basically laughed me out the door because I didn't really have the credentials, and I'm not the announcer type. I guess becoming a newscaster and being a reporter really was probably the direction I was going to go.
Okay. And
my brother said, "Why don't you go to Flint?" So one of the last stations I went to in Flint, besides TAC, where JP got his start years ago, was WK 1470 WKMF. That's a country radio station. And what got me in the door, the ironic twist of all this, was the program director, who had the 3 to 6 shift in the afternoon. I came in about 2:15, 2:30, so about right just before he was going to go on the air. Let's say 2 o'clock. The receptionist, kind enough to take my resume, took it into him, and he said to her, "Keep him there. I want to talk to him." I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a job, maybe, or at least a possibility. I was nervous. Gosh, was I scared?
Yeah.
And Don Sefcik was his name. Great guy. Had polio, but he had trouble over the years, and he wanted to fly, but it was difficult for him. But he ended up teaching ground school, so his hobby was flying. He wanted to talk to me about my flying background. We talked for a half hour about flying, and then he said, "Oh, by the way, I got to go on the air." He said, "I got a job, by the way, too, about a couple of nights a week, working part time. Do you want it?" That was the end of the conversation. 30 minutes. You want to go on? You want to be on? I said, "Oh, absolutely." So I drove back and forth from Oak Park, where I was living at the time, and that's how I got my start. And then I stayed there for a while, dabbled in a variety of things with the station. Could tell that I wasn't an announcer type. To hold a show like a JP or these other guys that I worked with, Tom Shannon, for a while, and oh my gosh, you are good at what you're doing. I watched you do that.
I try.
That's a special talent. There's certain things, and we've watched it over the years. You work in Tiger Stadium at Comerica Park. Ernie Harwell and Paul Carey, how you describe things.
They were captivating.
They were
really
captivating.
Were.
So I had to figure out how I was going to do this. Well,
they were the greatest.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They really were. And I ended up at a station, WTWR, in Detroit.
Okay.
At Tower 92 FM at the
Renaissance
Tower,
Center.
And that was on a tip by Russ Gibb out of Dearborn, Russ Gibb was the guy who said that Paul was dead. Remember that? He started that rumor years ago.
Right, yeah.
And he had the radio station. Russ, great guy.
I
Russ
remember,
Gibb, very, very influential in radio and television in the Detroit area, especially for young guys like myself. He said, I'll put in a good word for you at Tower 92 FM. And sure enough, he did, and started out working overnights. I locked myself out one night. Nobody even knew I was off the air. We were off the air. How many stories we were up, I had to go all the way down, get security to let me back up. Nobody even called to say, "Hey, what happened to you?" So obviously nobody was really listening much to me.
That's funny.
Then they needed a newscaster, and Tom Shannon was, at that time, remember from CKLW days, he was the morning guy for them.
Yeah.
And they needed a morning newscaster.
Is he still around, Tom Shannon?
I think he is, but I think he lives. I want to say he lives back in Buffalo or maybe Florida. Who knows now? But as far as I know, he's still around.
Okay.
what a talent too, and in
Yeah.
the old CKLW days. I mean,
Oh,
I listened
yeah.
to that as a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a big thing. There were so many different things. we
JoJo
listened to.
McGregor?
Oh, JoJo Shuddy McGregor,
Oh, my
absolutely.
gosh.
She's still on the air doing part-time traffic
heard
on the
that.
weekends.
I
I think
heard that.
sometimes during the week too, and but I stay in contact with some of the folks. But
Uh-huh.
they said so. I auditioned for the job as a newscaster, and Ray Cardoza was the news director. And to his credit, he gave me an opportunity to be a newscaster, and I did that for about a year.
Okay.
Loved it. And just fell in love with it. And I thought, well, I got to move along. So I started sending out tapes locally, WJR and whatever the stations at that time were doing the news, CSX or something like that.
Yeah.
CXI.
WC, yeah.
Good country, AM country station. Great news. Mike Friedman, I think, was the news director. And Cheryl Choden at that time was the top street reporter for them, award-winning.
Oh,
she did a
okay.
great job before she went on to 7.
Yeah.
And so I sent them out, but I sent them all to the radio networks in New York. And I got, I will never forget this. ABC Radio wrote me a note back and said, "What are you sending me? This is a joke. You send me this resume. You have very little experience. When you have more experience, you let me know and call you back." Well, I got a call from the news director for UPI Radio and said, "We want to interview you. We think you'd be an asset here." And so I went to New York, had an interview. This is in 1982. And he said, "We want to offer you a job." And I said, "Man, I don't have that much experience, but you're off." He says, "I can see the potential in you." He says, "And there's people here to learn from." Well, I stayed for a short period of time. I was going through some personal issues at the time. And so I came back after about 6 months, but I learned so much. I had that UPI book, the guide to writing the newscast and reporting the news. UPI and AP both have their books on how to do that.
I didn't know that.
They're really interesting guides. But to speak correctly, to
Yeah.
enunciate correctly,
Yes.
to use the correct grammar and put the stories together properly. I learned
tell you.
so much from that.
It's a real knack.
I wrote it. I got back and I sent a tape to WJR, and Rod Hansen called me from WJR. Rod was a news director for years, still around. Tremendous individual. Gave me a chance. Worked a little part time, and the program director at the time, Joe Baccarella, knew that they were going to take one of the men off the air that was on the air and put Joel Alexander on in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Joel Alexander. Yeah.
Needed somebody to replace Joel, who had started in 1981 at WJR as their traffic reporter, flying helicopter. Said, Joel and I had talked a couple of times, and I didn't even know Joel, but he knew that I worked for the station. And he said, "Hey," he said, "come along with me sometime." He says, "Since you're a pilot." And I said, "Okay." I never did, but he remembered that conversation. So when Joe Baccarello said, "Anybody know anybody that works for us that knows how to fly, that wants to be a helicopter pilot for us, be our traffic reporter?" Joel Alexander says, "Well, Dennis is a pilot." So they called me up one day. I walked in. Joe Baccarella says, "I want to offer you a job. We'll teach you how to fly our helicopter and be our traffic reporter."
Oh, my gosh.
And you work with
Wow.
JP in the morning and Joel in the
It's amazing how things like we talked earlier just dominoed.
I
Like,
feel like I've been blessed. I mean, I have
Unbelievable.
met so many
Just
people.
falls right into
such
place.
Good fortune, such a nice opportunity to see so many things.
and it's
so
nice to have so many people believe in you like
Oh
that. You know?
my goodness!
I mean, that's
gracious.
great.
And I say I worked with some of these people. It wasn't work. It was going to school with them because Tom Shannon had a way of doing things.
Yes.
The other newscasters.
You
that
learned
I
a
worked with
lot.
Learned a lot. JP, it was
the master.
I was enthralled with working with him.
He was awesome.
But he was respectful of me too, and I really enjoyed that. If we
That's
had a
good.
little bit of a problem on the air, or maybe he asked me a question that I didn't want to answer. A lot of times he would ask me questions that I couldn't answer, but other ones were aviation related, and I would kind of hesitate. And one day, Hal Youngblood called me up after I landed and said, "Hey, Dennis, JP wants to talk with you." And I thought, "Oh, I'm in trouble because I didn't answer the question."
Yeah.
JP got on the phone. I said, "JP, I'm so sorry," but I said, "No." He said, "I want to apologize to you."
Putting
He
you
said,
on
"I
the
put you on
spot.
the spot about that accident." He says, "And you're right. The NTSB and the FAA have to get involved first before anybody decides what happened."
So he
says,
knew right
You
then.
stopped me. He says, "And you did it correctly." And he said, "I want you to know I will never put you on the spot again." What a great man. What
Yeah.
a great broadcaster.
Wow.
And then I went on after that to work with Eric Smith in the morning and so many other great people at 7.
Yeah.
Same thing with JR. I mean, I worked with Jimmy Lantz, Bob Hines, the overnight people. When I first started working at WGR,
Oh,
we
yeah,
had
Bob
booth
Hines.
announcers.
Wow, I
we had
forgot
booth
about that.
announcers there still. These
Yeah.
booth announcers, they were fantastic. you know, and the old studios, the old equipment, it was something to see. Of course, it changed over the years because that's all new.
And
stuff.
you saw the progression. Though.
I saw the
You did.
progression. I had a chance.
I mean,
to
you
do that.
had a
Came
chance
in
to
just
see
at
that.
the right time.
I mean, it's
think,
even
for
more
that.
now technical.
Oh, it's
It's
I think everything goes to what, a server now. It doesn't go to tape or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
But I just saw so many things. We were talking about the Tigers. I saw the championship, the championship in 1984. I've seen 2 or 3 Stanley Cup parades from the air. You can't believe what it looks like to see 1 million people in downtown Detroit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I can imagine.
It's a
You
sea
flew
of
over
people.
Tiger Stadium a lot, you said.
All the time. There was all those opportunities to see the special events that were going. And I
up
do
there,
admit,
wow.
I saw some pretty bad stuff as a reporter for Channel 7 because that's what we're covering, is breaking news.
Right.
I had a great camera operator with me, Brian Smith. He operated the camera. He and I flew together, and what he didn't do with Judy Tarmina. Was a camera operator. So we had a couple of people who were really skilled at it. Brian was the top guy, and we worked together side by side on a regular basis to cover some of the most interesting things from the air and not so interesting things as well. But what still comes through is the beauty that I saw, the sunrises and the sunsets.
Yeah,
and
you saw a lot.
The buds coming up on the trees and the ice going out, the people fishing, the people sunbathing, sailboats, the cars
Could
on
you ever
Woodward
take
Avenue.
photos of?
I didn't, because flying was a little difficult
yeah, right.
to try to do that. But
Yeah.
I know Brian did, and we
Okay.
had lots of photos, I think, that were taken over the
Yeah,
years. We
it's
had people
beautiful.
go along with us a lot of times, too. The Detroit Tiger photographer, Jack Lang, years ago went with us to take some photos. I had a lot of different photographs. Spike Lee from across in Windsor, he went
wow.
along. People like that were...
And your camera guys, that's a real specialty too.
Oh.
Who's the one with Channel 4 now? Alex Atwell?
I don't know.
But you've heard of him, right?
I have. Yeah,
Supposed
but
to be award winning. Awesome.
You have to be able to do that. You have to have an eye for it, and you have to have a steady hand.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on in the helicopter at the same time. But
Yeah.
admire the folks that are doing that kind of work.
Well, you did a great job.
I appreciate it.
Now,
Well,
when did you start it with WXYZ?
in 1996 is when I started with them.
Wow, okay.
And then in 2009.
Yeah.
And they made some changes. And
Right.
they were going to use another helicopter and put all the
Consolidate.
stations together, and I was the odd man out. And then I started flying as an air ambulance helicopter pilot later in that year in 2010, and I've been doing that up until last year in October of 2015, and decided to stop flying. It's been 47 years, and
Wow.
I thought it was better to just step away now while I had a chance. I'm 63. And let's see what the future holds. And I wanted to use my skills in another way. So the ProMedica Health System down in Toledo, who I flew for, I now work for as a kind of a PR person, but I go to the hospitals and the fire departments and talk to people.
So you work
about the
right
great
out of
crews.
Toledo then?
Work right out of Toledo.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
But live in Plymouth and drive back and forth.
Oh,
and so
wow.
on. But it's I enjoy it. The people that I
Well,
work
that's
with.
good.
Yeah. My mom and dad said years ago, it's like your health is the most important thing, Dennis. Remember that. But I said I never forgot that. He
It's
said,
true.
my dad would say, your friends and your family and your faith are obviously very important.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So
Absolutely.
I'm watching these pros, these medics and nurses and doctors and all the behind the scenes people and everybody, the administration, everybody in the health industry, which is going through rapid changes and costly for so many people. I know there's a lot going on.
And the technology there too. My gosh. Leaps and bounds.
I am just learning so much. So God has given me so many blessings along the way, and this is just another one in my life of stepping to the next level and trying to use my skills in another way. And,
Well, we're happy you shared a lot of that with us. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. I got a wonderful family. My wife and my daughter. My daughter just got married recently in Colorado.
Yes. You just got back
I'd never
from
seen
there.
the mountains before. I always liked John Denver music.
Yeah.
And
I love the mountains, too.
Oh, I can't. Every curve in the road.
It's gorgeous.
I just was, and I know that I would feel going to England and to Ireland, I would feel the same way. I think the beauty, you get to see in just your own neighborhood for so long, you kind of forget that there are other parts of the world and other parts of the country.
Right.
And I think it's important to travel. And I did a little bit of that when to see for her wedding to see Denver. Every turn in the road was like, oh my gosh. No wonder John Denver was inspired to write this music.
Yeah,
and sing these
exactly.
songs.
High Colorado.
I know. I think isn't that like the second, their second state song, Rocky Mountain High?
Rocky Mountain High.
They got one state song, and then Rocky Mountain High is kind of the unofficial one.
Yeah, right.
But I listened to that as a young man, and I thought, but I met so many great people along the way because
let's
Ernie
talk
Harwell,
a little bit.
Ernie Harwell, Paul Carey,
Eric Smith, good
Eric
guy.
Smith, Joanne Purton. So many reporters behind the scenes. Stephen Clark was the name.
Did you know Joanne's dad?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't work with him, but I knew him, and every
Great
time
family, I
He
hear.
was great on the air.
You're not kidding.
You know, he does a podcast. I don't know if he still does, but he was doing a podcast too, and so was Eric.
Okay. Well, and I did not know that
I don't
either.
know, if he
I don't
still
st-
does.
It's
but-
hard to stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll hear from somebody.
Well,
and
I'm
so
on Facebook a lot because I
Yeah.
have so many pages that I take care of in that. But
Well, the thing that really impressed me is like yourself and like Mike, you are kind souls. You're nice men off the air.
yeah,
As
we
well
try
as
to.
on the air.
Yeah.
And that's the way these men were.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I saw them. That's how I. Now, people might have a different bent on the lifestyles or the things that they did that was beyond my realm of understanding, or
Right.
maybe really my business. I just worked with them, and the little I had contact with them, they were fabulous.
Yeah.
Men and
Even
men and
outside of
women.
work.
Outside of work, genuinely sincere souls.
I wanted to ask you about Rob Kress.
Okay, I never met Rob.
You
I
never met?
Never
Now,
worked
he
with him.
got
Is it Lyme's disease? Was it
Lyme's disease.
Yes.
And
I think it's debilitated him to the point where I don't think he can work
Yeah, that's a
anymore.
shame.
But I
It's a
don't
shame.
know. That's something for somebody to investigate. I think
Yeah.
they did that a while back at 7.
yeah, it's
but I'm
been
not
quite
sure
a
how
while.
far
And
they- how
you know,
far they
it would
went.
be nice if some of these stations, where are they now?
Yeah.
It would be kind of nice. Give us an update. A lot
well-
of people grew up with these people.
You could do it, Kerry. You'll do it.
Yeah.
This is great radio TV
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
Well, and it's,
And like you said, it's grassroots and
well, it so helps the community to
Yeah.
what you're doing, what you're promoting. And I think I appreciate it. I do.
Yeah,
And
well, I appreciate that.
And I think that's where the venue might be, because you have to package something now for TV or radio, don't you? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
have the natural conversation like we. I
and
think
the
it's-
internet is so wide open.
Oh
It's
my
huge.
Gosh. Oh my gosh! I think it's so interesting that what you both have done in your lives and what you told me about your life before,
Mm-hmm,
you working at the Comerica Park, Mike, and
That's just one of my former things.
yeah,
One
but,
of
but,
them, yeah.
but still, these are the kind of things that we all don't know about one another, and that's the thing you meet through this kind of work,
Yeah,
don't you?
exactly.
You just begin to meet some of the best people in the world.
And we really have. We've met a lot of good
Yeah.
people.
And I believe this, and I know I'm a rose-colored glasses guy, and that's how I try to approach my reports, the traffic reports. I studied it hard.
Yeah.
I talked to the Michigan Department of Transportation, the county road crews. I wanted to know why this was happening and that was happening. I
Right.
needed to study it so I understood it. So if I spoke from some knowledge.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, if I'm going to have the privilege of being on the air, yes, as you are right here. Look what people are doing. They're letting you into your house.
Yeah.
Into the car. I was not going to say something that would waste their time.
Yeah.
And my
yeah.
time.
Well, that's another thing. I try to do my research.
Yeah.
I research.
Yeah.
I read up on you.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
And, I try to, because, you're sitting here, you got to ask questions. You got to keep the show going, right?
Right.
So I want to know about you, and I want you to share with our listeners about you.
Well, it's very
and
kind
that's
of you.
the forum for you guys.
Yeah.
But-
I've been a lucky man.
Yeah.
I
Seen a lot.
And I say this seriously, that I realize that my faith is very, very important to me, and it is. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe that someday I'd like to see my mom and dad, and I'd like to visit the people that have passed before me.
Right.
But God knows, Kerry, I don't want this world my life to stop right now.
No.
I'm gonna keep putting the brakes on.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my
We're having a good time.
yeah, maybe that's my trouble with dealing with death. And we don't get to be philosophical here. What I'm trying to say is that I've met so many wonderful people. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the heck out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we got a long way to go.
There's still a lot more that can be done.
Yeah, there
Yes.
still is. And that's when ProMedica said, hey, if you don't want to fly anymore, and he had this job open come available, and they and I interviewed for it, and they offered it to me. I was so honored, so touched. I
Wow.
thought, my gosh, I'm going to have another chapter of my life.
Yeah, you
and
went
see
full
where this
circle
goes.
here.
I really did, and I am so fortunate. And I would have never thought, as a young man, that this would have ever happened to me. But I think I'd make my mom and dad pretty proud.
Oh, absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
know I'm proud.
They're
I'm pretty
smiling,
lucky.
trust me.
Oh, and they were great people. I smile when I think of them. My dad, 40 years at Ford, World War II.
Wow.
3 years in World War II. They came back. Ford
Lot of
gave them
history there.
seniority. I always buy a Ford vehicle. I always have Ford stock. thanking Ford Motor Company for what it did for my family. Now,
That's awesome.
people say, "Oh, there's so many other cars and so many other companies."
yeah.
Well, yeah, there are, but Ford did good for my family.
Absolutely.
I had a great teachers. You know, how many people I can count 10 teachers who influenced me, ministers, people in my neighborhood.
That's the thing.
That's just like the neighborhoods here. I mean,
And we've gotten away from that a little bit.
Well,
we really have.
I guess we have. Maybe we're a little. Boy, we had so many, like we were talked about before the show started. How many people we had? A short block, Queen Street, north of Oxford. Almost every house had 1 or 2 or 3 kids in it. We were at the park all day long, at swimming pool, Summer Stevens,
Yep.
you know, down at Oxford playing softball. It didn't make any difference.
We
till
were
the lights went
outside all day.
and
all
now,
day playing.
now we have to worry so much sometimes about things, and I'm thinking to myself, doggone it, a couple of bad apples spoiled a bushel basket. We shouldn't have let them. We shouldn't have let them do it.
Yeah,
we shouldn't have
it's
let
true.
them do it, but it happened.
Yeah.
It did.
Hey, is that Joe back?
Yeah, somebody just broke my window in the car. I had to leave and clean it up.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Joe. That's
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I need you to fly over and see me and track the son of a gun down.
Oh, I am so sorry. I'm disappointed to hear that happened, Joe. I am.
So am I.
Boy, oh,
So am
boy.
I.
Joe, anything you want to say
Not
to
gonna
Dennis?
rain, right?
Anything you want to say to
Oh,
Dennis?
good. Yeah, until we see you in 2 years for our flight instructor recertification dinner again.
Oh,
I always like listening
Oh,
to you.
Joe, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I think I'm done. Well, I had something happen recently. I can share with you guys. I guess about a month ago, on April 1st, I woke up early in the morning. I was going to go to work. It was a Friday, April Fool's Day, and I sat down in a chair at about 3:00 in the morning, and I didn't remember anything until I was at St. Mary's Hospital in Livonia about 5:30 in the emergency room.
No way.
Well, what ended up happening was my wife and my daughter thought I was having a stroke. So they rushed me to St. Mary's, which is the right thing to do. Stroke, and if you know anybody's having a stroke or think they are, call 911 right away. Do not hesitate.
Yeah.
The sooner, the
Don't
better.
drive yourself.
Well, this instance, it didn't seem like that was the case for me. So my wife and my daughter thought it was okay to take me, and it was. Turns out I had what was called transient global amnesia, which happens to people 55 and older. And Joe, you know, and what happened, and that doesn't happen a lot, and it may never happen again. And for 2 or 3 hours, you lose your memory, and the global means both hemispheres of your brain. Whereas a stroke, it affects one side, and the body is affected on the other.
Right.
Well, they went through everything, and all the tests. I had a 100,000-mile check. I laugh about it.
God.
Everything was fine in my body, but the neurologist said, you had transient global amnesia. We haven't the slightest idea where this comes from, whether it's a precursor to a stroke.
I have never heard
Joe
of that.
will know this. You guess what?
Yeah.
Joe? I'm grounded. Because
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
right.
So what I have to...
My mother-in-law experienced that about 3 years ago.
Oh, my God. And how long was she out of it before she got back? She got her memory back?
There still is. There's 6 hours. She has no account of what happened.
Yeah,
Oh
I had
my
about 3
gosh.
hours that I don't remember anything. I was offering my daughter orange juice, and I was going in and out of the house, locking the door and opening the door, taking the dog out. 4 o'clock in the morning. They said enough was enough, and the FAA says, we don't know what the problem is here. We have to investigate this, and it doesn't happen to a lot of people, but you have to submit everything. I grounded myself. I talked to Dr. Gordon, who's
you
my
don't want that to happen
FAA.
when you're flying.
Well,
No.
and the thing is, Dr.
Yeah.
Gordon said, well, I appreciate you calling, Dennis, but because you called me, you're now grounded. And I said, well, I understand that. I did that purposely. I'm not going to go fly and jeopardize somebody's safety. But people will do that.
But
Joe
how
knows that because the FAA can be so critical in your lifestyle. Mine, I'm 63, didn't make any difference anymore necessarily because it's not my lifestyle. But
Right.
for people whose lifestyle depends on that, then they have to start debating whether or not they're going to do that. If you're a member of a 2 or 3 person crew, well, you might be able to get away with it. But flying single engine helicopter like I was, there's no way. There's no way. I could.
How in the heck do they diagnose something like that? How do they determine that's what it was? With you?
Because I didn't have any of the sagging of the skin, the slurred speech, the look, that being able to hold my arm up, whereas a lot of times a stroke victim they can't hold their arm up. There's a lot of things that happen with a stroke victim, whereas this is not that. That's why they were able to
and it could happen again. It could never happen again.
Chances are it'll never happen again. But the FAA says it'll take me anywhere from 6 months to 2 years to get my medical back, if I get it back, because they want to make sure that this is not going to be the case. So I'll probably have to go to the neurologist again, go through more testing to make sure. But maybe what they did is did me a favor.
Now, what about driving a car or
I
anything?
can drive. Isn't that funny? I can drive a car.
That's
And
odd.
now that's odd, but it's the case. That's the case.
Okay.
But I never heard it. Obviously, Joe had heard about it.
Yeah.
Transient global amnesia.
Joe's a smart
Never-
guy. Let me tell you,
I
Joe
can tell
knows a
he is.
lot.
Well, yeah, he's a pilot. That's why.
I'm down in my basement. I can't run upstairs quick enough to get out of the stuff you're dishing out right now.
Getting deep, Joe. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, but all these experiences and it's easy to sit here and be philosophical about it. They open and close doors for you, don't they?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they do.
That's true.
And I'm thankful that 6 months ago I decided not to fly anymore on a full-time basis, and look what happened. I mean, I probably would have been out. I would have been out of work. Right.
I
now.
just wanted to mention real quick that Joe owns Barson's Greenhouse.
I do
in
know
Westland.
that. Oh, I know that.
He
Yeah.
just celebrated 36 years, right, Joe?
Yep, 36 years.
He's invited me
36.
many times there, and I've never come.
Oh, you got to come, man.
I'm coming to get my hanging plant.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe.
Do it.
Mother's Day weekend, baby.
Okay,
Mother's
man.
Day weekend.
Yeah, well, good. Everybody go to Barson's, okay?
Yes,
This Mother's
exactly.
Day. This is a good advertisement for you, Joe. You
Yeah.
deserve
Thank
that.
you, Dennis.
Yes, he does.
Yes, you deserve that. No, but they open doors. And, if I would have said, let's say, no to Joe Baccarella back in 1982 at WJR, I wouldn't be flying, working
Would've
that
been-
morning shift with JP McCarthy.
Yeah, you'd have been doing something
and
else.
if they wouldn't have let me go at the end of after JP died, and they made the changes at the station, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to fly the helicopter for Channel 7. So
Isn't that
I look at
something?
all these opportunities to open doors. But still, of all those things, the teaching was probably one of my favorite things, and also being a flight instructor, watching somebody who didn't know how to fly
And then,
become a pilot.
yeah, that's
Some
got to
of
be
them,
gratifying.
I know a couple of guys that I taught. They got their private pilot's license. They went on. One went on to fly 747s. Another one went on to fly for one of the airlines.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm really
What an
proud. I'm really
accomplishment.
proud of
Yeah,
it.
you should be.
Joe has been doing this for how many years? It makes a difference, doesn't it? It really.
I got an interesting story real
go,
quick.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah.
I went to give a neighbor a 150 flight in a little Cessna 150, and we couldn't do it. And so he ended up going to Annapolis to get into the Navy, I think it was. Yeah, Navy. And making a long story short, he was flying Hornets
Oh my.
in the Gulf.
Wow.
I just talked to his brother. He's getting ready to retire, but he is the what is the version like the colonel, or he's in charge of the Pacific Basin right now, getting ready to retire.
Can you believe
Wow.
it? That first conversation with you about flying in an airplane. Look what he's doing.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, what an influence.
That's a
huh?
great story.
That is a great story, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's how people influenced me over the years. They pointed me in the right direction. My dad would say, have conversations with me, and I'd say, well, should I be doing this, Dad? He'd say, well, you could try it for a while. He's really one of those kind of guys that say,
Right.
well, why not? Give it
Try
a
it.
shot.
Exactly.
And I ended up taking them all for an airplane ride when I got it. I learned to fly in a Cessna 150, as Joe just mentioned. That was at Metatol Airport.
Metatol, I was just
went
going to ask you.
Nationals, where I
Yeah.
got the $2
You flew out of
airplane
there?
ride. Chuck White was my flight instructor on that day for that $2 airplane ride. Years later, at
Wow.
Grosse Ile, as my first flight instructor job in 1973, working for a Piper dealership there, the designated examiner on the field was Chuck White.
Wow.
And I said to Chuck, I said, I have to show you a picture. I held the picture up of him and I standing by the airplane.
Wow.
And he just shook his head. He was a wonderful man.
Is that one you posted on Facebook? Did you?
I don't know.
know if-
No. This I don't
There
think
was
I did.
something
This
else.
was-
I think it was with your.
the helicopter.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had done that, as a matter
Yes,
of fact. Bob Schultz, from Dearborn.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob. He's a good man. But I met so many interesting people along the
Yeah.
way. But that was my first flight instructor job in 1973.
Wow.
And that helped me get through school. It's really
Well,
great.
well, let's go on. Let's move on to something else. Now you're back in media a little bit, huh? You got
Yeah.
your own talk show.
Well, it's not so much
Out
me.
of
It's
Madonna?
It's the broadcast and cinema arts program at Madonna has been producing a TV show. Started out as Madonna Magazine back in the 80s and
Okay.
it evolved to something else. Now it's called Celebrate Michigan. And I haven't been able to do it over the years. I started in the 80s doing it with them.
Okay.
They had a couple of people do it before me. And then I became their host. And then there's a big separation of time. And then a couple of years ago, I got a call from them, said, does your job allow you now to come back and be our host of our co-host of our show? We have somebody else, Chris Benson, who is Dr. Chris Benson. She's works for the university.
Okay.
And I said I would be happy to. So
Yeah.
off and on for the past couple of years now, every other Wednesday night,
Every other
during
Wednesday.
the school year, between basically October and December, and February and April.
Okay.
When, those 2 semesters. We do a show every other Wednesday night. We record 2 shows, as a matter of fact, and I'm a co-host of the show. And
I'll be
I
darned.
really, really enjoy it. Just like you, you
Yeah.
want to learn something
Yes,
about somebody.
yes.
And I've had some
And-
extremely interesting
And it's all
people.
produced by the school, the kids.
The
run
students
it?
all produce it, the staff, the faculty, and so many of the students. Chuck Derry started this program. He and Sue Boyd,
familiar.
Dan Boyd, and some of the other folks, Pat Derry, his wife, so many other people were instrumental in getting that program going at Madonna, and have really, the sisters there at Madonna University were on board with it, and they believed in it as well. And he's graduated thousands of students, and many of them still work in media or in film or in radio,
Wow.
and or have benefited from just the video program, like what we're doing here. This is, you can learn a lot from these kind of things. Just working with a camera, you just speaking. Just, it's very, very important to practice, to keep doing it if you want to do this for a living. Obviously, the business has changed, as we all know.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and lament it. It's
And
just
to
the way it
keep
is.
up with that,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you got to really
Look what
keep
you're
up
doing
with
now.
it.
Who would have thought years ago you'd be able to take your computer and have a show?
Let me tell you, about 12 years ago, I wouldn't even go near a computer.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Right, and probably neither would have I.
I was so intimidated by it.
Right. But now everything's
All
running.
self-taught.
And the helicopters
With my
I
son.
flew now for isn't that wonderful? And
Yeah.
and the helicopter I was flying up until last year, I mean, it's so computerized.
Yeah.
Autopilot, everything is
Yeah.
all IFR. Everything was,
So
we
you had to
flew
be
IFR.
all trained on that and
if you
updated.
don't,
And
and Joe will tell you, if you don't know that stuff, you're
Yeah.
not getting in those aircraft anymore. They're so sophisticated that the sophistication is good if you know how to program it and do it right.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you can get yourself into really bad trouble very fast.
oh, yeah.
You
You
know,
can believe
we
that.
we grew up on the old gauges, they call them, the steam gauges, the round gauges, and you had to hand fly the aircraft a lot. You know, the autopilots, there was a lot of autopilot work there, but you hand flew those aircraft.
now, where did Chopper 7 fly out of?
Out of Medetol Airport.
Oh, they were there
McMahon
too.
Helicopters. That's
Oh.
where they were based. I started
Okay.
out flying out of Pontiac for WJR in
Okay,
1983.
Pontiac.
Broke my back about 6 months after I started in a helicopter crash
Oh,
in
wow.
September of '83.
Oh, my
was out of work
gosh.
for about 8 months. That was my fault. I hit the ground too hard. Had a friend along for the ride, Terry Houlihan, and Terry and I both broke our backs. Compression fracture, which was common for
Yeah.
accidents. I think helicopter accidents in Vietnam too happened that way. A lot
Yeah.
of compression fractures. And I had a compression fracture and was out for a while, but they brought me back in, which was nice. WJR offered me my job back. I had quit. They said, "We want you back.
Wow.
When can you come back?" Which I thought was great.
Yes.
And then went from there. The helicopter was based at Pontiac Airport for a while, then City Airport. We were at Metro Airport. I used to fly with Pat Monks, the old AAA traffic copter out of Dixboro.
Okay.
Pat Monks and John Sherwin. And those guys used to fly for WWJ, Captain Pat, Captain John. They were great guys.
Captain Dennis.
And that JP started calling me Captain one day because he had met Captain Pat Monks. He said, "I'm going to start calling you Captain."
Okay. Is he the one that actually started that?
He
or
did.
Eric? I couldn't.
No, JP did.
Okay, JP.
JP started calling me captain one day, and I said, JP, I said, "I've never been in the military." He said, "Oh, you don't have to be. You can be the captain of a ship if you've never been in the military before." I said, "Am I going to get the consummate pay?" He says, "We have to talk to the management about that."
All right, there you go.
I never did get my raise for that. I told him that years later.
That's funny.
Oh, he's
Just the title.
Yeah. Good. It's just really, that was a good guy. I mean, I listened to him, and he was just. I can't even explain it. What I learned from just listening and watching him.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
fabulous.
He was a master.
He let me and John McMurray once do the Focus show.
Okay.
And that was a
Focus,
lot of fun.
yeah.
We did the Focus for him once, filled in for him, I think, for a couple of days one year. And John McMurray was great to work with. He's now retired from being a meteorologist. So
Oh, my wife, Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl. How are you? Come
Dennis
on in.
Come on in. Join us. Oh, okay. Yeah. Take a couple of photos. She's my photographer, and I put
fantastic.
these
Nice to
on.
meet you. Oh, that's so nice. You're very kind.
There you go. We'll post these on
Listen to him
Facebook
so
if
much
you don't mind.
You feel like you knew him from way back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so nice. And I don't feel old, necessarily. When you think about it,
No.
I think 63 is like, well, man, can I go another 63? That's how I feel right now.
That's
of course,
good.
with that TGA, that transglobal amnesia.
Yeah.
Am I going to be doing that with the program
hope not.
or out of the program? You know what I mean? I guess I was happy. I was saying to my wife, I was able to tell my daughter how to get to St. Mary's Hospital.
I'll be
Without
darned.
any problem. I don't know about Joe's mom.
So it
how
must
she
have been
did it.
real mild or
Yeah.
something.
Well,
No.
I don't know. I have no idea. So who knows where it came from and where it's going to come, if it ever come back again.
Well, let's hope not.
But I'm also and I think Joe understands this as being a pilot too. The FAA would very easily just say, okay, if you don't want to challenge us, that's okay. But you know what? We have to challenge it.
Yeah.
Because they would arbitrarily, and it's not a criticism, it's an observation.
Thank you, dear.
Organizations now, security, there are lots of things involved. The FAA, they're very tight about how they do things and how they watch over things in the flying business. They're going to keep an eye.
Really.
They really
They
do.
really do.
And so what? So if I said no, I'm not going to challenge it anymore.
Yeah.
Then fine. But I'm going to challenge it because I think other people would maybe help other people challenge. I'm not trying to sound like I'm some sort of a great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I make the path easy, if we continue to make the path easier for other people to do that, somebody has a heart attack or diabetes or sleep apnea, things like that really affect pilots now.
Yeah.
The other thing that affects pilots and affects everybody for that matter is skin cancer because of that being up higher in the sky and not having protection and so on. Skin cancer is showing up. The dermatologist, Dr. Blum.
Oh, that's interesting.
In Canton. Dr. Blum, fascinating man. One of the finest dermatologists I've ever met in my life. He says that he sees a lot of it with flight attendants and pilots of skin cancer because of that unprotected, higher, thinner, I guess, atmosphere for the sun to be more intense.
Wow.
So he said to be passing the word to other pilots to be careful or to put some protection on. So, I see people wearing hats all the time now, so we know when they're walking.
Right,
It's a big thing. I mean, people are watching. People
Yeah.
are watching over. So I guess we're learning from one another from all these things.
Yeah, all your golfers. I mean,
the golfers,
they take their hat off and their forehead's
Yeah.
pure white.
It really is. Isn't that funny? You got a red face and a white
exactly.
head. That is something. Yeah,
We got
but-
Joe Barson's joining us on the phone too. Sure.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. You got to talk into that.
Somebody broke a window on his car, though. We're
Oh,
having
yeah.
a little
Where'd that
trouble.
happen, Joe?
All right, my driveway. I'm downstairs doing some dogs are barking. I never even noticed it.
Oh, my gosh. That's too bad.
That is too bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. But maybe it was just accidental by a baseball or something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't, I hope.
Yeah.
I hope that's the
Yeah,
case.
let's hope it's-
They'll raise the bar, give the benefit of the doubt. Probably
Right,
not,
right.
but you don't know. But born and raised in Dearborn, this whole area out here love this. This is great. This is home for me.
Yeah, we have a good time out here.
These neighborhoods, everybody says, "Oh, they all look alike. All houses look alike." Yeah, that's right. This is the post World War II right here, right? They built the houses.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's and people came home from World War II and they got right to work and they built the country the way it is in many ways the way it is today.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So I'm pretty proud of it.
I was
things
telling
change.
Dennis the mutual guest that he had on his talk show, Michael Pack.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Michael.
My oh my.
He goes, "My God, he's gorgeous." I said, "Yeah, it's like looking in a mirror."
That's what I said the same thing. I
Yeah.
said to Michael, I used to look like you.
Well, she's got
In
a
my
little
dreams.
story how she met him with Creative
Well,
Soul
I
that
go
he
to
does.
Creative Soul, and I do the workshops.
Oh, do
And-
you?
Yes, and the first one that we did, the first one was making these tables and also some crowns, and I was just having a hard time with the metal cutters, and I needed some individual attention.
Oh,
And
boy,
his
is that a
mom-
surprise?
and his lovely mom was there, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my
He is a
girlfriend,
nice guy, though.
owns
Very
Creative
nice.
Soul, but the workshops are awesome, and
Yeah.
so Michael and another friend of ours does the workshops, and so it's always a pleasure.
Well, have you gotten that new magazine that's come out that's been delivered called Neighborhood Scene?
No.
No.
It's like an Our Detroit magazine, only
Okay.
it's called Neighborhood Scene, and Scene is spelled SEEN.
Okay.
And on the front cover of Neighborhood Scene,
Creative Soul and Michael got together and have come up with some of these projects.
Well, and I think they give you the opportunity, any of us, to bring out some of that creativity in us, don't they? And I think there is a lot of creativity in all
Right.
of us.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't get a chance to have that the door open to them, and he does that.
A lot of it is a self-confidence too. They don't think they
I
have
think
that.
that's true. I think
Yeah.
that's true. I think there's a lot of self-confidence and ego in this business that we're now doing here, don't you think? I mean, the broadcasting
Yeah, I would say
business.
so.
And you have to
Yeah.
have a healthy one too.
A lot of different egos out there.
I met a ton of them, over the years. Some you want to be around for a while, and some you don't want to be around for too long.
Now, Bill Bonds, did you ever meet Bill Bonds?
Yes, I did.
Rest
And-
in peace,
yeah,
Bill.
Yeah, and
Good guy?
I never worked with him. I was just on the edge of when he was still there as doing the commentaries.
Okay.
But I never worked with him on the air. But I saw him years later at church. He happened to be at our church for a wedding
wow.
of a friend. And so I saw him walking outside in the parking lot, and I said, "Hey, Bill, Dennis Neubacher," because I know who you are. And that was really nice of him. And I said, "Well, Bill," I said,
Wow.
I'm really sorry that we never had an opportunity to work together. I want to thank you for all you taught me just by watching and listening to you." And he said, "Dennis," he says, "if you and I would have been on the air with that helicopter, we'd have had some fun, wouldn't we?" I thought,
can imagine.
so can you believe, isn't that nice? I thought,
That's
my
awesome.
gosh, he made me, and that was the true, really the stars that came through in my eyes were the people who turned the tables on me and said, "Boy, it was a pleasure working with you," or "You're a nice guy," or they're not busting their buttons trying to tell you about themselves.
And they
want to
remember
find
you
and they remember you, and they thank you for what you do. And that was a JP. That was an Eric Smith. That is those. A lot of those people that I work with. And if you don't like, I guess if you're in that kind of business, if you don't like some of the people you work with, I guess you vote with your feet. You spend time with family, friends, and do the best job you can and be of service. And that's the thing about this. We talked about it before going on the air. This is a service. There are people who have nothing else going on in their lives. Maybe you get out every once in a while, but the radio or television is their friend.
Yeah, that's true.
And for anybody to take advantage of them, to not do something proper. I mean, you can joke and you can have fun. I mean, it's opened up. I don't want to think we should have censorship or things like that, but you should have the choices and so on.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be on the air, take the responsibility seriously and do the best you can to be the best you can on the air for them.
Right.
Well, I can add to that because then he knows what I'm going to say. When he had this brainstorming idea,
It's a great idea.
and I basically said to him, "Who would want to listen to you?"
See?
Yeah.
Did I not tell you that?
Yeah, so I have had to
300 shows later, right?
Yeah, I've had to eat those words over and over and over again. I mean, sitting here in ice scrapbook, and so these shots, and Carrie did not know that I was doing it. I think it was last summer or last fall, and I scrapbooked his Garden City Community Chat and had a collage of all of his guests. And even it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, when you have Congressman Conyers sitting here,
Senators and
and it's
state reps.
and
I'm sorry to be coughing like this in
That's
front of
okay.
you guys. I've had some throat problems recently.
That's all right.
so
But I'm
yes.
thinking of that movie New in Town, Scrapbooking.
Yes.
That great movie.
And I was thinking, when you were talking about this TV show, Carrie and I got hooked on Crowded. He's a helicopter traffic guy, and his father.
Oh, yeah, it's a sitcom, yeah.
It's a sitcom.
New one.
Starts joining him, and he feels like he can
Free
when he's up in the sky.
Crowded. What station is this on? I've
Oh my
not seen
gosh.
this.
It's on, is it 4? NBC? I don't
But
know.
it should be censored because
But it's called Crowded.
Yeah.
the father,
Stacy Keach is in it. Plays the
Keach
dad.
is the dad, and he
That
just-
makes sense.
Yeah.
He starts talking about everything up in the air because he's free.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm coughing all over Mike, too. I apologize. You do feel free.
Yes.
But I also felt that sometimes that I couldn't really completely enjoy myself
Okay.
because I'm felt so responsible for that aircraft that I
Right.
felt if I
That's
did
a
something
lot of
wrong,
responsibility.
Oh, heck yeah.
that I would mess it up and then plaster my name and the station's name all over the place because I had screwed up along the way. And there are little things along the way that I didn't do always correctly. Was they fortunate enough to I should say survive it. I mean, that one accident that I had was my fault. That's a long time ago, 1983. We had some things happen along the way, but you wanted to have a lot of fun, like these guys, like you're saying, they're doing too. And I had fun, but I don't like. I felt I didn't want to do that at the expense of the listener or the viewer. But that's just my conservative, I don't know, rose-colored glasses way of looking at things. I just didn't want to do that. I just felt like I wanted to do my job, be part of the show. JP always had the last word.
Okay.
And it basically did the same thing with Eric and whoever was on with him in the morning.
Yeah.
They had the last words. Their show. And I learned that early on because I kept, when JP would say, okay, Captain, we'll talk to you later. Okay, JP, have a great morning. Okay, you too. Okay, thanks. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I got a call one day from Cal Youngblood when I landed. He said, Dennis, he said, JP has the last word.
So he has the last goodbye. See ya.
But I understood that as meaning, hey,
right. Yeah, I get it.
When you're done with it, it's his show. Give it back to him,
Yep.
and shut up. And he meant it in a very nice way, and I understood that. If not, then get your own show.
Yeah,
is what
right.
it was. What it boils down to,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I understand that. From an entertainment standpoint, I completely understand that. That if I was on stage with Bob Hope, I'm not going to upstage Bob Hope, right?
Oh no, yeah,
Right,
exactly.
And you say what you want about him or whatever. I was telling Carrie that my mom, when she sang, she sounded like Rosemary Clooney. Of course, I want to say that Rosemary Clooney sounded like my mom. But in the late 40s, she sang for the Ford Chorus.
Okay.
She met my dad at Ford Motor Company, but she sang for a short period of time on the radio for a while. It was WXYZ radio, I believe, at that time. And I think she sang with Rita Bell.
Rita
Oh,
Bell.
yes, I
Do you remember
Rita
that?
Bell,
And that
the movie.
yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she remembered talking to me about that, and I never forgot that. And she had a beautiful singing voice. So
Wow.
that's probably what I'd like to have done. If I could be a Tony Bennett on stage
Okay.
and sing to a crowd of people.
I think
and
that's probably
entertain
the only thing you haven't done is
Well-
sing.
them. Well, I mean,
With
Feel
Lady,
free.
with Lady Gaga.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
who would have thought?
oh
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and it wasn't that the most fabulous national anthem you've ever heard at
Yeah.
the Super Bowl with Lady
Wow.
Gaga?
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
She was remarkable. I took my breath away.
She really
you know?
has a voice. She does.
You know?
My mom passed away a year ago, and the last 3 years were tough with Alzheimer's. And I will remember this. We're in the hospital, and my daughter-in-law had brought up some magazines, just like what could Grandma have here to make the days go by faster and keep her occupied. And it's like, Chrissy, she really doesn't read anymore, but the magazine was laying there. We were all looking at it, and there was a picture of Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga. And my mom looks at it, and I go, look at Mom. She goes, oh, my, Lady Gaga.
Are you serious?
Isn't that something?
My 84-year-old mother knows
Wow.
Lady Gaga, but I'm not sure if she really
Wow.
knew who
Yeah.
Tony Bennett was.
Oh,
But
yeah.
how priceless is that?
Oh, is
Yeah.
that ever something?
That's a memory that
That
I was
is,
like,
yeah.
my mother knew who Lady Gaga was.
Well, she raised a great daughter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she really did. I don't even know you that well to say that, but that's the truth. My brother was involved in TV. I worked with him at Channel 7. He was a producer behind the scenes.
Really?
He stayed behind the scenes, and
Oh my
he was a
gosh.
producer for many years. Then went to Europe and did it in England for a while.
Oh, wow.
He married a woman from Sweden, and he settled in Florida, and he was working at a station in Florida before he retired a couple of years ago as
Wow.
an executive producer. My sister lives near me in Canton. My sister Kathy, my brother Greg. I mean, we had some good experiences, good growing up times, and
Yeah.
that helped me, I think. And I think that's the early broadcast. I'm not saying anything about today's broadcasters because I don't know these men or women as well. But the richer the upbringing, the richer the what they've gone through, seems to also feed, I think, a little bit of how they come across on the air.
Yeah.
And JP came from humble roots. A lot of these people came from very humble roots, and I don't think he ever forgot that. And that came across, I think, on the air.
That's a good
Eric
thing.
Smith's the same way. When
Yeah.
he went to Etzel Ford, graduated in 61 or 62 from Etzel Ford. Eric was involved in theater there for a while in Dearborn. He had a lot of roots there, a lot of humble roots. And his mom passed away a few years back. She was in her 90s, I think, when she passed away. But
Yeah,
those
it's a
are the
good thing
folks they have
that they never forget where they come from.
Right. So when I'm listening to broadcasters now, I'm trying to find those that have, you can tell that have that richness about them.
Yeah.
And it's not a criticism of the ones that don't.
Right, right.
But there is an on and off button, and I can't change it. I don't
Yeah.
want people to not be on the air because I wouldn't want to hear them.
And that's
watch
what we
them.
would call old school.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know?
I think
Really.
so. And it isn't. But I'm not going to also say, you know, this is what that was the best way. Maybe it was, but you know, people let me stand on their shoulders when I was younger to get where I am.
But
I have to
they
bend-
paved the way for a lot of the people today.
So I need to bend down and let people stand on my shoulders to get to where they want to go. I want to be able to say along the way, listen, this is suggestions I might have, or maybe have them ask.
Yeah.
I don't want them to lose the history.
Yeah.
Because history, I think, is important. But that's, for me, that's how I feel. But, you know, gosh, I mean, we watched, Mike and we were talking about Al Kaline. I saw Al
my
Kaline.
hero.
I watched those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I met those, Jim Northrup, Mickey Stanley. I met
Yes.
those guys through the station.
Wow.
They're Bill Freehand. Oh my gosh, Bill
Yeah.
Freehand, this monster of a man, gets in the helicopter to fly with me because we'd open up the helicopter of WJR and let them fly. You
Wow.
meet those people.
Wow.
Ernie
Yeah, that's
Harwell,
awesome.
Paul Carey, what a humble, thoughtful man.
Just
Always
passed,
had
yeah.
something nice to say. Yeah, just bad.
And Ernie Harwell was always very humble and was more interested in learning about the other guy than telling about him. himself.
Apparently he walked a lot. Did you see him walk a lot? That's what they
Oh,
said
yeah.
he did all the time.
You met him, didn't you?
Yes, I had the
Blue
pleasure
Cross.
of meeting because he teamed up with Blue Cross.
That's
and
right.
I retired
Spokesperson.
from there, so Ernie paid a couple of visits to Blue Cross, and
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to meet him. And
Right.
what a wonderful, wonderful human being!
Yeah.
Right.
George Kell, another one.
Oh my gosh! Well, my dad. Well, didn't your parents do the same thing? My dad fell asleep listening on his transistor radio.
I used to.
Bob Reynolds with the Lions.
Yeah.
Listening to the Tigers. You know, listening to the games.
And
at
you'd
night.
wake up and the batteries were
The
dead.
battery was dead. My dad bought 9-volt batteries on a regular basis because
Yes.
that's how he fell asleep.
Yes.
With that transistor radio underneath his pillow.
Yes.
That was a special thing for them.
Those are
for them.
memories you'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah. So
Really.
that's what I take and go forward with, and I'll be always thankful that I have those memories. But you know, I'm meeting some great young people. I don't know about you. I'm meeting some wonderful young people.
Yeah, we've met a lot of good
creative.
people.
Some of them are geniuses. Some of them are so smart. And of course, the computer's like, well. I'm looking at the computer going, what the heck did I do? And they come over, do
Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
And they're done.
And you're talking 6 and 7 year olds on the tablet like
They
this.
are so good. They are so fabulous.
It's scary.
It is.
It
It
is.
is. It is. But I don't also want them to forget history because
Yes.
I want history to repeat itself because we didn't learn from it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they're not teaching to write in schools because I'm a substitute teacher when I get a chance at the Plymouth Canton schools. I still use
okay. Uh-huh.
my teaching certificate. Don't do it very often, but it's nice to be able to go in and listen to the kids. And most of them, I'm just, like I said, I really like.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are going, the world changed. There's a lot of a couple of generations, a few generations. We can talk about this, and I don't know what happened along the way, but there was a lot of things that happened after that baby boom generation for a number of years there.
Yeah.
A lot of kids raising kids, a lot of things going on.
Millenniums.
Tough life. I had mom and dad home. My dad worked. My mom worked part-time, worked at the KFC and the fish fry on Friday nights, the old KFC Kelly there off of Park, off of Outer Drive in Dearborn. She'd come home smelling like a fish fry. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
She was Catholic. My dad was Lutheran. I went to Our Redeemer Lutheran there in Dearborn. My mom became a Lutheran just so to keep the peace in the family. All these things. But we all kind of stayed together. My dad
Yeah.
worked hard, came home.
So it was,
We went
it was
we
a
went
solid
camp.
family unit.
It was a solid family. So I want that for them. I want that for those kids. So when I see kids who maybe aren't going through that, I admire how they've tried to deal with things, because for them,
Yeah.
I don't know, has it been easy? But then I think there were families that were going through lots of things, even though they had we thought had a solid family that we didn't know anything about, that I found out years later. So it doesn't necessarily make a difference always, but it sure was great for me to have that kind of, like you talk about your mom. I talk about my mom like she's
Yeah.
an angel.
Yeah.
My mom and dad they're beautiful. They were beautiful people. And I'm sure there were criticisms that we could make of them and people from my grandmother and grandfather and all the other people. But for the most part, I think as time goes on, don't we? What would they say? You end up remembering the good, and you forget about the bad. I guess.
Yeah.
And that's really how I want to think that I can go on with my life.
Now, how many kids do you have?
One daughter.
Okay, and she just got recently married. You was talking about
Right.
in
She's
Denver,
she was beautiful. My daughter Tessa is her name.
and going to be a grandfather.
She's gonna. I'm going to be. And my wife and I were going to be grandparents.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Boy.
the only thing
We're
I
still
see
waiting.
in my life
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
so.
I heard people say the same thing to me, and I hope for you for that reason too,
Mm-hmm.
because they said, "Oh, you're going to really love being a grandfather, Dennis. You're a grandfather.
He knows.
How many?
He knows.
4.
Yeah.
That's great. Are they going to?
And they keep him busy.
Will they travel with you when you go next week to overseas or not?
Not unless they've got $6,000 apiece.
Now, when you go there, when you go to France, will you go to Normandy? Will you go to any place on the northern shore? Yeah. See, I want to go there for my dad if I could.
Yeah.
We're just going to take the bullet train from London to Paris.
How long does that take?
About 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Gosh, can you believe
Wow.
that?
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know, and the thing is that that's funny because you think of Paris, I think of Charles Lindbergh. You know, Charles
Yeah.
Lindbergh.
Landed in.
Yeah. landed there.
Yeah.
You know, he had 5 chicken sandwiches with him, only enough gas to make it to Paris. He never touched the chicken sandwiches because when you eat, you sleep. He was worried about falling asleep. He had to catch himself a couple of times.
Wow.
This man flew all the way across the ocean and flew right to Paris. It's across the Irish shore,
amazing.
followed the shoreline, went across the English Channel, and landed in Paris.
Isn't that crazy?
It's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Back then, when there was nothing,
Yeah.
you know, there's no.
I remember
navigational
watching
plan.
that movie, Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, he was fabulous.
Yeah, he was.
That's great stuff. Great stuff.
So, we got to wrap this up.
man.
I'd love to talk to you
great
forever. I
conversation.
mean,
Wow.
you're going to have to come back. You
Oh,
know?
I'd love to.
You know what? While he's gone, maybe you can even be my co-host.
Oh my!
Wouldn't that be
Well,
awesome?
it'd be an honor to sit. in this
Yeah,
chair.
that'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Mike, you got anything you want to say? Any last words or questions?
Don't let him in my chair.
Joe, any parting words?
It's an interesting show. I like the show.
Great, thank
Thanks
you.
for being part of it, Joe. Good luck to you, and happy Mother's Day this week. I hope it's a good show for
Sell a lot of
Parsons.
plants.
You bet, sell a lot, man.
We'll see you tomorrow, Joe. I want some hanging baskets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you seen?
You guys
Have you seen any hummingbirds? By the way, I haven't seen any at my yard yet. I've been hanging the feeders for a while. Have you seen them yet?
He loves something.
Not yet.
Yeah. See, I'm just wondering if this easterly wind we have is holding them back from coming in. What do you think?
Very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well could
Maybe
be.
this week. Maybe this weekend. Wait.
One of my Facebook friends, I'm trying to think what city, Belleville.
Okay, they saw them.
Where's the raceway? Dundee.
Oh, they saw 'em.
Dundee had them 5 days ago.
Okay, so they're coming. They're coming.
Oh,
north.
okay.
Sorry, Mike, we're
Okay.
interrupting you. Sorry about that, Mike.
Sue Patterson posted that.
Oh, okay, Sue Patterson. Well, Dennis, I'm telling you, it's been fantastic.
Honor
What a
to
pleasure
hear
to
it.
have
Thank
you.
you, Mike. Thank
We're
you.
really
Thank
happy
you
you
all.
joined us, and
Oh.
stick around for the rest of the show unless you have to go.
I don't have to go.
All right,
I'm
great.
Happy to stick around.
Great. You want to give a shout out to what is it?
Oh, ProMedica,
ProMedica.
my employer. That's enough. I can't say anything more. The hospital's got the HIPAA law now, so we
Oh,
gotta be careful.
okay, yeah, we don't want to
Great
do that.
people to work with at ProMedica. It's one of the hospitals.
We love you.
We love you.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Come back anytime. All right. Well, we want to remind all residents that the next regular city council meeting will be held on Monday, May 16th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers located at 6000 Middlebelt Road. They urge all residents to attend. All right, let's see what's new with Joey and Holly. We're going to get them in here with their 2-minute gardening tips, and then we're going to close out the show with Mike. So, Joey and Holly, take it away.
This is Gardening in 2 Minutes. As gardeners, we all face, no matter the size of our garden, problems with bugs. Now, there's a couple of answers to what do I do because I have this bug problem. We'll go over a simple no-touch bug control that may work for you in your particular garden.
Sometimes when you have a grouping of plants, say you have 3 zucchini plants and only one has bugs on it, well, you can do something. You could yank that plant out, but then if the bugs are still there, they're going to go to the other 2 plants. So what can you do, Joey?
Well, you can use that plant as a sacrificial lamb. Allow the bad bugs to get on that plant, lay the eggs, eat that plant up, and allow the other plants around it to not be effective. Now, this does happen, but now if there are bugs on all of your plants, then yes, and then there's an opportunity for you to purchase a chemical or a homemade remedy to remove or control those bad bugs. But if it's on one centralized plant, leave that plant in the ground, keep an eye on it, but leave that plant in the ground so all those bad bugs will go to that plant and not affect the other plants. But if there are bugs on other plants, then you're going to have to look at a way of controlling.
Be proactive and control the bugs. But if, like Joy said, just leave the one and just keep an eye on it.
Now, if you do buy a chemical, that chemical will kill all of your bugs in their garden, good and bad. So you want to look at ways to control the bad insects by introducing good bugs into your garden, or homemade remedies that will reduce the number of bad bugs and will harm fewer good bugs. So when you have a bug problem, just don't go to your local home and garden center and purchase the first chemical you see, because that may not be the answer for what you need it for. For more information on controlling bugs in your garden, our weekly video productions, as well as our free downloadable digital quarterly magazine, you can find all that information at
the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.
For Gardening in 2 Minutes, I'm Joy Baird.
I'm Holly Baird.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Joey and Holly are all the way from Wisconsin, so we appreciate that. All right. We're going to get Mike in here and get some announcements for us. He's got several, I would imagine, and then we'll close out the show. So let's cue up Mike's music. Okay, it's time for some community announcements. So let's get Mike in here. Mike, take it away. All right, Mike.
All right, first couple announcements as usual. Feature the library. Nerd Night. Learn the best. Converse with other gamers on strategy. Explore the gameplay and history of the action role-playing video game series Dark Souls with local gamer aficionado Gabe Kleinert on Monday, May 9th at 6 o'clock p.m. Topic of discussions for the evening will include the game's story, its world design, its effect on other games and game culture, and what sets it apart from any other game in the world. This event is open to patrons 14 years of age or older, and we'll have Mountain Dew and Doritos provided.
Oh, that'll wire him up.
Please call to register for this event, 734-793-1830. Also from the library, Stress Buster Adult Coloring Night.
That is really getting popular,
Yeah.
that adult coloring books. It's a crazy.
Come to the library Monday, May 20th. Those adult coloring books really weren't what I was thinking they were.
Actually, they have hummingbirds that you can color, too.
Come to the library Monday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. to relax with some coloring pages and chocolate fondue.
Yeah,
At our Stress
go
Buster
just for that.
Adult Coloring Night. There will be a multitude of coloring sheets provided, as well as crayons, markers, and other materials. Let us know that you will be joining us by, you know the number, to register ages 14 and up. As a free service to our residents, you can take your old or outdated prescription medicines to the Garden City Police Department. There's a box in the lobby to collect and properly dispose of potentially dangerous medicines which are no longer needed. And if you don't know by now, the Garden City Public Library offers drop-in computer tutoring every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Do you need to brush up on the basics? Come on in and take advantage of this great one-on-one resource. The library is located at 31735 Maplewood Street in Garden City, and you know the phone number. We give it to you about every other announcement. The Garden City Parks and Recreation and the Garden City Figure Skating Club join forces to present Disney Friday, May 6th at 7 o'clock and Saturday, May 7th at 1 and 7 o'clock. Adult children 4 to 10 and seniors $5. Children under 3 are free. Tickets are available for the purchase at the door. This will be at the Garden City Civic Arena, 200 Log Cabin Road in Garden City. Come see our figure skaters perform. I think you'll be amazed at what they can do. Okay, Love for Pups Animal Rescue Fundraiser. Spaghetti dinner. All you can eat for only $20. I think that's for the people because I got a couple of grand dogs that are going to run you right out of house and home if you're trying to feed them spaghetti for $20.
Right.
This is Saturday, May 14th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the VFW Hall, 33011 Ford Road, Garden City, Michigan. Tickets can be purchased in advance or by calling 734-394-9210, or you can pay at the door. The American Legion Auxiliary Unit 396 Spring Craft and Vendor Show, Saturday, May 14th from 10 to 3. Excuse me.
Know how that feels.
You get that
$1
tickle in there.
admission. It's at St. Mel's Church, 7506 Inkster Road in Dearborn Heights. On Inkster Road, north of Warren Avenue. Bake sale, food available, 50-50 raffle. Email American Legion AUX 396 craft show at yahoo.com for more information. All proceeds go to help our veterans and their families. Kevin's team, Walk to End Alzheimer's, invite you to join us for a fun day at Greektown Casino, which I understand has been purchased and is changing its name.
Yeah, it is.
Detroit, Michigan, Wednesday.
Jack's or something, I heard.
Yeah.
Jack's Casino or something?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
That's what Jerry said today at
Yeah.
lunch. Greektown Casino, Detroit, Michigan, Wednesday, June 15th from 2016. We're walking in memory of their dad, Kevin, who passed away from younger onset Alzheimer's disease. Hannah
Yeah,
and family,
that was
$30.
terrible.
Payment due by May 15th, 2016. For reservations information, call Pat Koblinski, 734-422-1236. Round-trip transportation via deluxe highway motor coach equipped with restroom and reclining seats for your comfort and convenience. A 50-50 winner-take-all drawing will be held on the bus. How do you have a 50-50 winner-take-all?
Right.
Okay. Each passenger will receive a rewards card with $20 in reward play. Add to the card, good for any slot machine. Bus departure at 8:30. Board the bus at 8:30. Departs at 9 o'clock a.m. and returns home at 3 o'clock. Pickup location is at 13,000 Middle Belt Road at I-96 at Livonia, the Myers parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Across from the garden area. Please make check or money order of it payable to Pat Koblinski and mail to 28676 Balmoral, Garden City, 48135.
All right.
This is in Barson's Greenhouse neighborhood, Brenda's Butterfly Habitat, located at 6414 Merriman Road, Westland, Michigan, 734-788-0539. At Barson's Greenhouse between Ford Road and Moran. You can call 734-421-9599. It's going to be open the first Thursday in June through the last Friday in September, closed on Independence Day, July 4th. Hours of operation are Wednesdays through Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., closed Monday and Tuesday. There is no admission charge, but donations are graciously accepted and will help defray the cost of the operation. Merchandise available and caterpillars are given away only on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. What you'll find, Brenda's Butterfly Habitat is filled with butterflies, host and nectar plants that are native to the area. You will see the complete life cycle of these winged beauties in all stages of their metamorphosis.
She was on our show not too long ago. You haven't been there, right? Well, if you haven't been to Barson's, you haven't been there, right?
Yeah.
But what a treasure. It really is beautiful.
That's
really
where it
nice.
stopped.
You would love it.
The Berger Autistic School Association presents their 16th annual Autos for Autism car show.
Yeah, it's a big
To
one.
benefit Berger School for students with autism. It'll be on Monday, July 11th from 5 to 9. This year only, they're going to be at a new location, the Garden City Middle School, 1851 Radcliffe, near Ford Road in Wildwood, formerly Garden City West High School. And that's due to construction at their regular venue. The show will return to their regular venue in the Garden City High School in 2017. I think they're redoing the parking lot at the high school, so they had to move the.
They're actually having 2 bands this year. Bonnie and the Working Girls is going to be back, and I can't remember the name of the other band, but very good. That's really become huge.
Yeah, one of our newest Kiwanians, Darlene Jablonski, is asking the Kiwanis for volunteers because they're going to need a lot of help putting this thing on.
Yeah, it's big.
There's going to be famous raffle prizes, great music, 2 bands, as Carrie said, delicious food with Baby Drew's barbecue, clowns, face painting, kids' activities, fun for all ages, dozens of trophies, dash plaques to first 200 vehicle entrants. Visit facebook.com/autosforautism or email autosforautism@yahoo.com. Phone Lisa Clark 734.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
323-3010.
Garden City's rocking, Dennis.
I'm moving. I'm coming into this.
We'd
town.
love to have you.
Boy, what a thing.
You'd be a welcome addition.
Yes.
Coffee with Knesset. Coffee with our elected representatives.
Your guest from
State-
last week.
Yes, Senator Knesset.
David Knesset.
He's a regular on
For
here.
a casual conversation about what's important to you in the community. This is always on the second Monday of the month, so the next one will be May 9th. The Garden City version of that will be held at the Maplewood Seniors Center from 10:30 to 11:30. Also in attendance will be our state representative, Julie Plowicki, and our county commissioner, Glenn Anderson. So if you got any questions related to local and state government, this is the place to be.
This is the year for politics.
Yes, it is. Oh, my gosh. Wow. We won't even get into that.
And finally, the Garden City Home Pantry is having a food drive all month, May 1st to May 31st. For every can, box, or non-perishable item donated, customers will receive a raffle ticket. Tickets will be put in a box behind bar. 1 ticket will be pulled on May 31st. Winner does not need to be present. Don't forget to put your name and number on your ticket before putting it in the box. The winning prize is 4 tickets for our Tigers bus trip Sunday, July 31st, 1 o'clock game versus the Astros, and a $100 sports venue gift card. And if you ask nicely, I think I know a hot dog vendor that'd be glad to sell you a hot dog on that day.
I wonder how many hot dogs you have sold, Mike. Have you ever counted? Any idea?
Oh.
No,
What do you think?
I probably
Thousands, obviously, but how many thousand?
I probably average these days 75 to 100 every game. And
Wow.
If you work 50, 60, 70 games a year and you've done this for 38 years.
That's
of course,
incredible.
I used to sell other things besides hot dogs. But
Sure.
No.
But thousands of hot dogs. Thousands. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Thousands.
Touched a lot of young people's lives.
Ballpark, Franks. Get your hot dogs right here.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. Items needed but not limited to for the food drive: pasta sauce, peanut butter, jelly, barbecue sauce, tuna, mustard, ketchup, salad dressing, mac and cheese, soup, canned fruit and vegetables, juice, rice-a-roni, and pasta-roni. Bring your donations to the Sports Venue Bar and Grill, 6327 Middle Belt. Last year they had over 1,862 items donated. The Garden City Gladiators raised over 800 items on their own.
Wow.
And that's all I have for
Go Gladiators.
All right, Cheryl, you want to announce something here?
Well, I would be remiss if I did not talk about our 3rd annual Willie the Pig Road Rally fundraiser for our Garden City Garden Club, Gardenville.
Yep.
That will be Saturday, May 14th, 5 o'clock.
To 9.
To 9.
Or whenever.
Registration at Maplewood. Can contact Stacy Carafotis. It's $10. Get a team together, your friends, and it's $10 per person plus a $1 scratch-off lottery ticket. And I can't read the smaller print here.
Well, theme teams. You get your teams together. It's going to benefit, did you say Gardenville?
Yes, Gardenville.
Okay, and they can contact Stacy at 734-564-3868.
Yes.
And Carrie's going to be looking for somebody to handle the announcements for the next couple weeks because next week I'll be in Killarney.
Yes, he'll be across the pond. So
And the week after that,
have a
it's
Guinness.
Stratford
maybe
upon
Dennis
Avon.
will come.
Oh, that's so nice
If you're
of you
not
to ask
busy,
me.
we'd love to have you. That'd
Thank
be
you.
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm honored.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough act to follow, though. My gosh. You're gonna have a beer on me over there.
Yeah, a
Guinness,
warm one.
Right? I like it that way.
Do you?
I like it that way. Don't you? I mean,
No, not warm.
Yeah. Well, remember when Dad?
Well, Guinness, yeah.
Remember our dads used to have those cartons, those big 24 packs of tall bottles of
Yeah.
Strohs.
Yeah.
And they'd put them in the cellar, but they never put them in the freezer.
Exactly,
It
this
gets cold
fruit
that way.
cellar down
That
there,
was,
yeah.
the fruit cellar was
Yeah.
the way to do it, and it was just the right
Yeah,
temperature.
you're right, yeah,
How would
yeah.
I know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mike, I just looked at your itinerary and I see you're going to be at the Circle of Kerry or something.
Yeah. Kerry.
He tells me how famous he is. I've never-
You got to take a picture of that and bring it to me.
The Ring of Kerry.
Yes, the Ring of Kerry.
Not sure what that is.
Behold the glorious Ring of Kerry, where you'll find some of Ireland's most magical scenery. Pause for a moment at the Gap of Dunlow to browse for traditional Irish handicap goods as we continue our journey marveling.
He's going to fit right in, isn't he?
Fantastic.
Created by wind-swept cliffs, rugged mountains, lakes, and
Kiss
picturesque
the Blarney
villages.
Stone, right?
Yeah.
Upon
That's
returning
awesome.
to Killarney, you'll be treated to a time-honored Irish jaunting car ride.
Have you kissed the Blarney Stone ever before? Are you going to do it? Or
Well, I've been advised not to do that.
That's a lot of
For one thing,
germs.
You have to lay on your back.
True. I could never do
You're
it.
underneath
There is
it,
a
and you're
certain
kind of hanging a little bit over the edge there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could never do that.
Wow.
No.
And,
no way. Not with my back.
no,
One of our
me neither.
Kiwanian
get up.
members suggested not doing it because it might not be the most sanitary thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
She told
Yeah.
me what some of the local traditions were.
You don't want to know.
We were going to be there.
Lived a
I
long
don't-
life. He kissed the Blarney Stone, came home and died. In fact, he never made it across.
We'll be there, but I might not do any kissing. You will be the blessing bride.
All right.
Good.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Have a great
Kerry.
trip, Mike. Have a safe
Yeah.
trip.
Enjoy. All right. In closing, I just want to mention that if you'd like to be a guest on our show like Dennis Neubacher, then all you have to do is send us an email at gccommunitychat@gmail.com, and we'll shoot you some available dates, and that's all there is to it. Maybe you own a business or you belong to an organization and would like to share your information with us and the surrounding communities. If so, this is the forum for you. Once again, email us at gccommunitychat@gmail.com or give us a call at 734-788-9319. We look forward to hearing from you.
Do it. You'll love it.
All our shows.
Welcome warmly.
Yeah, thank you. Our shows reach several communities in the area, so if you can get some information about your business or organization, we'll be more than happy to mention it on the air for you.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right, are you a business owner, resident, or community advocate interested in serving the business community? If so, the Garden City Business Alliance is looking for you, which I happen to be president of. Becoming a member is very easy. Just visit our website at gcbiz48135.org and fill out the contact page, or give them a call at 734-788-9319. Also visit their Facebook page at facebook.com/Garden City Business Alliance. Why not consider joining the GCBA and be a part of moving our business community forward? Or better yet, why not come to their next membership meeting Friday, May 13th, 9 a.m. at the Straight Farmhouse in the Grand Parlor, 6221 Merriman Road, just north of Ford Road. And we thank Mark Hammer over there and all the folks for hosting our morning meetings for us over there. We really appreciate it.
Good guy, Mark.
Yeah, Mark's a good guy. We hope you'll be able to attend. We would love to meet you and hope that you'll become a member of the GCBA. All right, before we sign off tonight, please jot these numbers down. If you'd like to become a volunteer for any of the DDA events, our Downtown Development Authority, give Kim or Teresa a call at 734-261-2830. The DDA office is located at 29213 Ford Road. And once again, if you'd like to become a member of the GCBA or volunteer for any of their upcoming events, call 734-788-9319. Or once again, contact them through their website, gcbiz48135.org. Both the GCBA and DDA are working on events and dates right now, and we're always looking for volunteers. Contact the DDA and GCBA today. Well, Mike, I think we're ready to call this a podcast. I want to thank my co-hosts, Tom and Mike, and our special guest, Captain Dennis Neubacher.
Pleasure to be here.
We
Thank you
really
very
had a
much for
good
asking
time.
me. I enjoyed
What a
this.
pleasure it was visiting with you.
Thank you.
Also, thanks to Joy and Holly and everyone who joined us in the chat room and those that will be listening and downloading the show later. Also, those watching on our YouTube channel, we really appreciate your support every week. Remember, the audio from tonight's show will be available on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GCChat, shortly after we sign off tonight. And also on our main show page at talkshoe.com, call ID 82757. And look for the video of tonight's show tomorrow on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/communitychatshow. And if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. Just click on that little red button right below the video. All right, remember, the success of a community depends on the community, so please support your local businesses. And if you see something, say something. Look out for one another out there. For all your weather information, head on over to drtomsweather.com. Yeah, I want to see, he's got live video of a robin's nest on there. He said
That's
he's
neat.
hoping to hatch that. So on behalf of Tom, Mike, Joey, and Holly, this is Carrie saying take care and see you all next week, May 12th, right here on TalkShoe.com, show ID 82757. Dennis, thank you again.
Thank you, Carrie.
All right, take care.
Thanks so much.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Tomorrow night. Oh, that was 11.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Take care. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.